I, 42 male, was with my ex, 41 female, for 4 years, from the ages of 27 to 31. In the second year of our relationship, she got pregnant, and I was so happy to be a dad, so excited to give my child everything I didn't have. Later on in the year, we welcomed a beautiful, healthy baby boy. I should preface this a bit more by saying that myself and my ex are both pale Korean. So when my son was born with darker skin, I had some doubts, but told myself that he would gain the features that resembled his mom and me as time passed. I was wrong. Within the first year of his life, I knew that my son wasn't mine. Along with his darker skin, he has hair that defies gravity, while mine and his mom's are straight as needles. He has different facial features than both of us. Despite knowing most of these things within the first year of his life, I decided to stick around and raise him as my own, because I already became attached to him, and vice versa. I, of course, didn't mention that I knew to my ex, and whenever my family would question me about it, I'd say, "He's my boy." Of course, the relationship with his mom and I ended, but for other reasons. Despite that, I still stuck around to raise my son. He's a teen now and lives with me 75% of the time, and with his mom the other 25%. It's just what works for us. Last week, I took my son to get his hair cut, as he didn't want to grow out his afro anymore. He went back with his mom shortly afterward, and the day after, I got a call from my ex telling me she needed to speak with me and that it was serious. We met up, and she set me down very dramatically and proceeded to tell me that my son wasn't my son, and that he was her old coworker's son, and that he was in a very vital stage where he needed to learn about him and his biological dad's culture and whatnot. I told her that I knew. She looked shocked and confused. I told her that I wasn't stupid, that I knew since the moment he was born, and that I loved him, and if he chooses to meet his bio dad, then I fully support him. She got mad at me saying, "If you knew, you should have said something, and we could have prevented depriving him of his other culture long ago." When I mentioned that she should have told me, she said, "I didn't want to hurt you." That conversation ended, and she went on to tell my son everything. He was rightfully upset and called me afterward to pick him up. I told him that I had known and loved him from the beginning. He was upset with me for about a day. Then he came to me and said he wanted to meet his bio dad. I said okay, and called his mom. Long story short, bio dad doesn't want to be involved, despite knowing about my son since birth. My son is still rightfully sore about the situation, and my ex is saying it's just as much my fault for not saying anything. Maybe if I did say something, he could have grown up with his real dad and didn't have to go through this or any of the other things he's experienced. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Okay, so your ex cheated on you, knew that she got pregnant with the guy she cheated on you with, lied to you and your son this whole time, and this is your fault? You seem to be a really loving person, and your ex is most likely taking advantage of your loving nature by placing her grief on you. I'm so sorry you're going through this. Is she seriously trying to blame you right now? There is something mentally askew with her. You literally said that the bio dad knew about your son since day one and wanted nothing to do with him. So your ex getting mad about depriving your son of his culture and bio dad is crap. Honestly, I think she was hoping for some Hallmark moment where the bio dad decided he wanted the teenager, i.e., wanted her still, and she's salty that it's her selfishness, yet again, that caused issues with her son. She hurt him and you, and no one else did. The good old liar's defense play, attempting to obfuscate and excuse their blatant lies by way of dressing them up in a cloak of altruistic intentions. Classic. And now she just wants to spread the anger she's getting from your son because of what she did. She's trying to make you accept some of the blame, when in reality, she's reaping what she sowed. You're awesome for being a dad in this situation. A lot of men would have dipped. Exactly, dude. He has a real dad. You are his real dad. Being a parent isn't about biology. It's about commitment and love and sacrifice. Good luck to you, and I hope you and your son navigate yourselves through this. My daughter has 2 of my grandchildren, and she lives in Napa. Last summer, she invited me to spend part of my summer vacation at her home. I thought it would be great. Spend time with the family and vineyards and buy some wine for the new school year. I was all for it. The reality was different, though. She would leave me at home to spend time with the kids so she could go run errands. Twice she went out for dinner with her husband while I stayed at the house. I told her clearly that I wasn't happy with the situation, and she got huffy and said that I'd taken a year off work to help my son take care of his son. This is absolutely true. I did that. I took a sabbatical to help my son, whose wife was crippled in a car accident and was in rehab for a year, learning how to use her body again. I didn't say anything, but the audacity was too much. When my daughter invited me out for this summer, I politely declined and said I had plans. She asked what I was doing, and I truthfully told her that my boyfriend, 53, and I were spending the summer fixing up the house and camping. She said that Napa's more fun and that the kids want to see me. I said I had a week free next month so that she could visit me. She didn't like that idea. Now she isn't talking to me, and I'm okay with it. I'm currently drinking my morning wine and watching my boy toy power wash the deck. Not the idiot. First, love your vibe, and you enjoy that morning wine. Second, you're not free childcare. She should have asked you. She didn't and just assumed. She's an idiot for that. Live your life, queen. Wow, the entitlement is strong with that one. Throwing out you helping care for your injured daughter-in-law? Your daughter just needs to woman up and tell you she wants you to come babysit. It sounds like that was the total extent of your last trip. I'd politely tell her no. You're going on a nice, relaxing vacation, not traveling to her to babysit. If she wants to see you, she can arrange a trip to you when she gets back. I guess I can see this situation from your daughter's perspective. Being a parent can be exhausting, and it's endless. Having support to take a break here or there for doctor's appointments, errands, and date nights is helpful to the parent's mental and emotional well-being. Seeing you actively support her sibling for such an extended period may have created unrealistic expectations. OP, my advice to you is to try to have a respectful conversation with your daughter to clarify your boundaries on this topic. You seem too comfortable letting your daughter stew in anger over your rejection of her summer plans. Maybe she is blind to the differences between the two situations. Maybe not. How on earth could she be blind to the differences in the situations? OP did have a respectful conversation with her daughter. When invited back for another vacation, she said no. She had other plans. She offered an alternative, that the daughter come see her. Her daughter responded by not talking to her, not giving a reason, just no longer talking. That's on the daughter. My mom and dad have 3 kids, me, 18 female, and 22 female and male twins. My mom struggled with a host of mental issues, and while she loved us, she was not a good mother or partner at all. When I was 5, my parents broke up. Dad had full custody, but he'd let us stay with our mother whenever it was safe to do so. Eventually, he met and started dating our new stepmother. She was not the problem. At the time, we saw her as a cool older sister / fun aunt. We liked hanging out with her, and all was good. As stepmom and dad's relationship became more serious, my dad started comparing our mom and stepmom. He compared their parenting, her cooking, literally and everything he could compare he would. At the time, it wasn't an issue. Stepmom herself didn't overstep any boundaries. We still had a relationship with our mom, and our mom liked stepmom, so all was well. When I was around 13, my mom's health went downhill, and a year later, I lost her. The first year was honestly a blur, but after things started returning to normal, my dad suddenly doubled down Even more on the mom competition. My dad would still make remarks about how stepmom was better than our mom. And at one point, he even tried forcing my siblings and me to call stepmom mom. He'd say stuff like, "She's your only mother now." And when mom was alive, it was no big deal. Now that she's gone, it really felt as if she was forcing us to move on from our mom. While this rightfully caused an issue with our dad, my stepmom also became caught up in it. It ruined our relationship with her, as she was our mom's replacement, but we weren't looking to replace our mother. Recently, my sister became pregnant. It was unplanned. She told us right away, but didn't tell stepmom or dad. She lost the baby, and my parents were with her through it all. Stepmom told our dad in private that she felt hurt that my sister felt as if she couldn't tell her with the news of the pregnancy. My dad then got us all together and spent a good 30 minutes yelling at us, calling us cruel and other things. And in this yelling, he was referring to stepmom as our mom. My sister snapped and said stepmom is not our mom, nor did we ask for her to be. Stepmom was upset and cried. He yelled at us some more and started shaming my sister for what she said, calling us rude and ungrateful. I responded that it was his fault that we didn't like stepmom. Had he not spent all these years shoving her down our throats, that maybe we would have seen her as more than just a random girl who was trying to take over our mom's role. He took my words and basically blasted me to family, and now everyone's calling me mean and disrespectful and expecting me to apologize to my dad, and basically calling me entitled and ungrateful for all that my dad and stepmom have done for us. So your sister had a loss, and your dad decided this is the best time to have a go at her for not sharing the pregnancy news with her stepmom? What a piece of work. I don't think you said anything wrong here. Well, not the idiot, but wow, that's some drama. What was your father's goal exactly? To shame your sister into apologizing for having a loss and not telling your stepmom? That's stupid. Your sister was in a fragile state. She reached out to her siblings instead of her parents because she trusted you and not your father. I think your father needs to stop trying to guilt you and your siblings into acting like your stepmom is your new mom. You had a mom. You loved her, faults and all, and you lost her. Your stepmom is not your mom. Your relationship with her might have improved if your father had just backed off, but he chose to butt in. You aren't kids. You don't need to be lectured about mom versus stepmom. I disagree. Everyone's the idiot here, except stepmom. Your dad has ruined the relationship by comparing your mom and stepmom. You suck a little for taking it out on your stepmom. You don't say anywhere anything that she's actually done that's been horrible to you at all. Take your anger out on the correct person, your dad. My 18-year-old son, Nikolai, had an oops baby with his longtime girlfriend, Celine, also 18, a few months ago. It has been a long understood fact in our house that if any of my kids have children young, I won't be there to help them. No passing off kids to the granny. No granny can you babysit. No granny can you pay for this or that. None of it. I preached abstinence. Unpopular, I know. My son could have had a great future, but this happened, and now that's all over with. The most help I've given him is discounted rent at our house. Sometimes Celine drops the babies over here when Nikolai isn't working so he can look after them. He basically agreed that whenever she feels tired or overwhelmed, she can bring them here, and he'll take care of it. It's a bit loud when they're at my house, but I wear my noise-canceling headphones and get on with my day. The day before yesterday, Celine dropped the babies off for the night. After a couple of hours of being unable to get them to sleep, my son begged me to help him. I told him I'm sorry, but I'm not doing it. If I cave in this once, it'll become a regular thing. He offered to pay me, but that boy's barely making ends meet as it is, so I refused. I told him to try rocking the cradle with his foot, hugged him, and went to bed. Well, the next day when he gets in from work, he's in a terrible mood. I tried to ask him how his day went like normal, but he just flashed me a forced smile and went to his room. I know he's upset. He has 2 jobs and has to work overtime, but he's just got to face the fact that this is his life now. I've talked to some family members about it because I felt a little guilty, but there are mixed opinions. Some think I'm being too harsh. Others say stick to your guns. Am I the idiot for not helping? You're right. If you help your son, he might think you might help him again. If you show him compassion or treat him like a person, he might someday experience pride or happiness. And that won't do now because he's broken your rule for how to live a good life. Why, if you spend time with your grandchildren, you might even develop a relationship with them. That won't do. When it's important, they know you think of them as mistakes that ruined your son's life. You are the idiot, OP. Hey, since preaching abstinence instead of providing education is highly correlated with teen pregnancy, I wonder if your parenting choices are in any way related to your son's choice that you disapprove of. Grandchildren? Don't ask Granny for anything. Granny says those are oops babies. Granny only gives presents and hugs to non-oops babies. Granny only gives presents to babies born in wedlock. I can't imagine charging your child, who's financially struggling and working 2 jobs at 18, a rent. Discounting rent? Huh? With a family like this, he'll get sick from stress. That's just not healthy. Lady, you have a responsible son, working 2 jobs and raising twins with his longtime girlfriend. Just because he's had babies younger doesn't mean his life is over. Your son begged you to help him, and you said no. My children know that they can come to me for anything, and I'll do my best to help or support them. You're trying to teach the wrong lessons here. You should be proud of him. Right? Like it seems that since he made a poor choice, OP no longer needs to parent her child. Do you stop being a mother the moment your child makes a choice that you don't agree with? Do you stop being a mother as soon as things in life don't go your way? OP is surely showing her child how not to be a parent. I guess that's running in his favor. Don't be like OP, Nikolai. Raise those babies with love, compassion, and support. My wife and I have 2 sons, Brian and Kevin. Brian has a teen daughter, Aurora. Brian and Aurora live very close to us, spending all their time at our home. Kevin and his family moved in with us and will live with us for a few months. Kevin's wife has been the one doing all the cooking recently, since my wife is sick and unable to cook, and Kevin and I work long hours. Aurora and Brian have dinner with us every night as well. Kevin's wife is a terrible cook. Her food is almost impossible to eat. Aurora is very honest. One day she told her that her cooking sucks. Kevin's wife was offended and told her she could cook if she hated her cooking so much. Aurora agreed, and she's been doing all the cooking. However, Kevin's wife is a picky eater, and each night Aurora makes sure to make a meal that she doesn't eat. This has caused many arguments between them, and Kevin's wife thinks I'm the idiot and should just kick her out and tell her to stop coming over for dinner. So, am I the idiot for not kicking my granddaughter out? Everyone's the idiot here. Okay, Kevin's wife is not a good cook, but she stepped up when needed. Aurora sounds like she weaponized the food, so Kevin's wife couldn't eat what she prepared. Not cool, but it sounds like OP stands behind her on this choice, or has not corrected her. Kevin's wife then wants Aurora to get thrown out, an idiot move. While your wife is sick, can't someone step up, an adult? Run-of-the-mill family drama if you ask me. It's only missing the one sibling in the back, thinking they're all nuts. Dear God, your poor wife is trying to heal, while all of you play grab butt. I hope she books a resort and leaves you all to figure it out. Sheesh. OP, you're old enough to be a grandfather, and that should be old enough to navigate this situation. Tell your granddaughter to quit being an idiot and stop cooking things that she knows your daughter-in-law doesn't like. Tell your daughter-in-law and your son that you're doing them a favor by letting them move in for a bit, and they aren't able to dictate who will and won't be in your home, and to grow up, because she has hands and can cook her own food. if she doesn't like what's being prepared?